Hello, everyone. In the vast expanse of human history, our species has faced numerous challenges, from ice ages to plagues, from wars to natural disasters. Yet today, we confront a unique category of threats that philosophers and scientists have termed existential risks, dangers that could either annihilate humanity entirely or permanently and drastically curtail our potential. As our technological capabilities advance at an unprecedented pace, understanding these risks and developing frameworks to address them has become one of the most pressing intellectual projects of our time. Understanding existential threat meaning in the modern world. The existential threat meaning encompasses any event that could cause human extinction or permanently curtail humanity's potential. Unlike conventional dangers that might cause significant harm but allow for recovery, existential threats represent a terminal point, a scenario from which human civilization cannot rebound. This distinction is crucial, as it fundamentally alters how we must approach risk assessment and mitigation. Swedish philosopher Nick Bostrom, a pioneer in this field, defines an existential risk as one where an adverse outcome would either annihilate Earth-originating intelligent life or permanently and drastically curtail its potential. This definition highlights not only the possibility of complete extinction, but also scenarios where humanity might survive but lose the opportunity to flourish in the future. Understanding the existential threat meaning is crucial for developing appropriate response strategies. These threats demand a unique approach because they share three critical characteristics. They are global in scope, potentially terminal in intensity, and irreversible in their consequences. Once an existential catastrophe occurs, there is no second chance, no opportunity to learn from mistakes or implement better safeguards. What is an existential threat? Defining humanity's greatest challenges. When asking what is an existential threat, we must consider both natural and human-caused dangers. Existential threats can be broadly categorized into two main types. Natural existential threats. These include asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, and naturally occurring pandemics. While devastating, these threats have been present throughout human history, and our species has evolved alongside them. Anthropogenic existential threats. These human-created risks include nuclear warfare, engineered pandemics, unaligned artificial intelligence, and severe climate change. These threats are novel, emerging primarily in the last century as our technological capabilities have expanded. The question of what is an existential threat leads us to examine both immediate and long-term dangers to humanity. Some threats, like nuclear war, could unfold in minutes, while others, like climate change, develop over decades or centuries. This temporal diversity complicates our response, as human psychology and institutions are poorly equipped to address slow-moving, complex threats. Experts studying what is an existential threat often categorize risks based on their origin and potential impact. The Global Challenges Foundation identifies 12 major risks, including artificial intelligence, biotechnology, ecological collapse, and nuclear war, each requiring distinct mitigation approaches. Existential Threat Definition and Classification Framework. A comprehensive existential threat definition must account for both known and unknown future risks. The existential threat definition includes any risk that could cause human extinction or civilization collapse. This encompasses not only scenarios where humanity disappears entirely, but also those where our potential for future development is permanently compromised. Nick Bostrom's existential threat definition encompasses events that could permanently curtail humanity's potential. This broader conception recognizes that humanity's future could contain vast amounts of value, billions or trillions of future lives, and that protecting this potential is a moral imperative of the highest order. Existential threats can be classified according to several dimensions. Scope: how many people would be affected. Severity: how badly would each affected person be harmed. Probability: how likely is the threat to materialize? Timing: is the threat immediate or distant? Tractability: how responsive is the threat to intervention? This classification framework helps prioritize research and mitigation efforts, directing resources toward threats that are most severe, probable, and responsive to intervention. Existential risks examples, from nuclear war to artificial intelligence. Common existential risks examples include nuclear war, engineered pandemics, and advanced artificial intelligence. Each represents a distinct pathway to potential catastrophe, with unique challenges for mitigation. Nuclear war. Since the development of thermonuclear weapons in the 1950s, humanity has lived under the shadow of potential nuclear annihilation. A full-scale nuclear exchange could kill billions directly and potentially trigger a nuclear winter that would collapse agriculture globally. Despite reductions in arsenal sizes since the Cold War, approximately 13,000 nuclear weapons remain in existence today. Engineered pandemics. Advances in biotechnology have made it increasingly possible to create or modify pathogens with unprecedented lethality, transmissibility, and resistance to treatment. Unlike natural pandemics, which have evolutionary constraints, engineered pathogens could be designed specifically to maximize harm to humans. Advanced AI. The existential risks of AI include scenarios where artificial intelligence systems might act against human interests. As AI systems become more capable, ensuring they remain aligned with human values becomes increasingly challenging. An advanced AI with misaligned goals could potentially outmaneuver human attempts at control, leading to scenarios where human preferences are permanently sidelined. Climate change. While unlikely to cause complete extinction directly, severe climate change could trigger cascading failures in food systems, water availability, and social stability. These effects could potentially lead to civilization collapse or create conditions where other existential threats become more likely. Studying existential risks examples allows us to develop more effective mitigation strategies. Historical near misses like the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 provide valuable lessons about risk management under extreme uncertainty. Philosophical frameworks for existential risks, ethical approaches. Several philosophical frameworks offer guidance for navigating existential risks. Longtermism. This ethical stance holds that positively influencing the long-term future is a key moral priority of our time. Long-termists argue that the vast majority of human value lies in the future, in the potentially trillions of lives that could exist in coming centuries and millennia. This perspective suggests that reducing existential risk should be among our highest priorities. The maxipok rule, proposed by Nick Bostrom, this principle suggests we should maximize the probability of an okay outcome, where humanity survives with its potential intact. This rule acknowledges the difficulty of optimizing for the best possible future and instead focuses on avoiding the worst outcomes. The precautionary principle. This framework suggests that when facing threats of serious or irreversible harm, lack of full scientific certainty should not be used as a reason to postpone cost-effective preventive measures. For existential risks, this implies taking preventive action even when uncertainty about the threat remains. Intergenerational justice. This perspective emphasizes our moral obligations to future generations. Since existential catastrophes would affect not only the current generation but all potential future generations, this framework suggests we have strong moral reasons to prevent such outcomes. These philosophical frameworks help us navigate difficult questions about resource allocation, risk tolerance, and the moral weight of future lives. They provide ethical foundations for the practical work of existential risk reduction. Existential risk mitigation, strategies for humanity's survival. Addressing existential risk demands a multifaceted approach, research and monitoring. We must continue to develop our understanding of existential threats through dedicated research institutions like the Future of Humanity Institute at Oxford, the Center for the Study of Existential Risk at Cambridge, and the Future of Life Institute. These organizations work to identify, assess, and develop responses to existential threats. Governance and policy. Effective governance systems are essential for managing existential risk in the modern world. This includes international agreements like the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, the Biological Weapons Convention, and emerging governance frameworks for artificial intelligence. These structures help coordinate global responses to shared threats. Technological development. Some technologies can help mitigate existential risks. These include asteroid detection and deflection systems, improved disease surveillance networks, clean energy technologies to address climate change, and AI safety research to ensure advanced AI systems remain aligned with human values. Resilience building. Even as we work to prevent catastrophes, we must also build resilience, the capacity to withstand and recover from severe shocks. This includes developing food storage systems, maintaining seed banks, creating redundant critical infrastructure, and preserving knowledge in formats that could survive major disruptions. Public engagement. Addressing existential risks requires broad public support and understanding. Communicating these complex issues effectively without inducing either panic or apathy remains a significant challenge. Fostering a culture of responsible long-term thinking is essential for sustained risk reduction efforts. The study of existential risk has gained prominence as technological capabilities have advanced. As we develop technologies with unprecedented power, we must simultaneously develop the wisdom to use them safely. This requires not only technical expertise, but also moral clarity about the future we wish to create. Conclusion: navigating humanity's future. Understanding existential risk requires a multidisciplinary approach combining philosophy, science, and ethics. As we face unprecedented challenges in the coming decades, our ability to identify, assess, and mitigate existential threats will largely determine humanity's future trajectory. The stakes could not be higher. If we succeed in navigating these risks, humanity could flourish for millions of years, exploring possibilities we can barely imagine today. If we fail, we may become a brief footnote in cosmic history, an intelligent species that developed technology it could not control. The path forward requires both intellectual humility and moral courage. We must acknowledge the limits of our foresight while still taking responsibility for the long-term consequences of our actions. By developing robust philosophical frameworks, advancing scientific understanding, and building effective institutions, we can improve our odds of creating a future where humanity not only survives but thrives. In this endeavor, we are the trustees of humanity's potential, responsible not only to our contemporaries but to the countless generations that may follow. How we respond to existential risks today will echo through the corridors of time, shaping the very possibility of human flourishing in the centuries and millennia to come. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.